All right, let's make sure this isn't going to my stream like an idiot. All right.
No, it's not.
What's up? Welcome everyone to another episode of the BCS Sports Show. It's CJ and Spects and maybe Bryce later. We don't know where he is. I'm sure he'll show up maybe at some point.
Or his kids vomiting like
I was
my
gonna-
buddies was last night.
I was gonna say he has a lot of small children, like so it, it's difficult.
Playing his own defense. Zone
Yeah.
defenses are hard.
That's tough. Like it's tough even playing 2-on-1. Like my son's basically Kobe. Like we're not stopping him. Yeah, doesn't matter. 2 people on him, don't matter. All right,
double team down.
yeah. All right. Are there? What do you want to talk about first? We have NFL free agency. I don't know if there's been a whole lot of new stuff since.
Hughes checks back. Cup went to the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, Cup did go to the Seahawks. That's
which
a pretty
is
big
funny
one.
to me because we went from Geno Smith and DK Metcalf to Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp, and I don't think
that's.
I think the latter's better, or the former's better than the latter.
I was gonna say, yeah, that seems like a strict downgrade. Honestly, not hating on Cooper Kupp, but DK Metcalf is another animal.
I don't think I said this, and I should have, and this is bad on me.
Mm-hmm.
I said it in our chat. I didn't say it on Wednesday. The fact that for Geno Smith and DK Metcalf, they got a second and a third. And the second was for Geno and not DK, which is hilarious to me. That the value of NFL of these guys is like wild.
It is weird how the value is because like Geno is a fine quarterback. He's weirdly old. Did you know he's like 34? He doesn't feel like he's 34.
He's our age?
He's 34. Yeah. It feels like he should be like 28. But yeah, like I mean, we've talked about this, how like the value of these guys is doesn't compute. I think we're so used to the NBA where like a star gets traded and you end up trading 7 years worth of picks for him. So like,
no, that's true.
The NFL is just such a weird animal. And yeah, DK being a top 5 NFL top 5 wide receiver in the NFL and only getting a 3rd round pick seems incorrect. Seems like he should have gotten at least a second, if not a late first or something for him. So,
but I understand like the value of these guys is just like weird.
Yeah, and the NFL teams always value just the pick, the unknown of what could be then an already established star or very solid quarterback. Like, I don't know, and maybe because in the NFL, like players' careers take such a sharp downturn, maybe is the reason. Because like we've seen plenty of cases where someone's a all-pro Pro Bowler, and then literally a year and a half later they are a shell of themselves, and a lot of times not even because of injury. So, yeah. I don't know. NFL's weird.
And he's not even hurt. But we don't even know who their quarterback is. That's the funny part.
Who's quarterback?
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that one's weird because like, what options do they have at this point? Like, bring back Russell Wilson, I guess.
Yes.
Like, does that make anyone feel good at all? I don't think so. I need to see.
It doesn't excite me necessarily.
No, it wouldn't excite me either. Like I guess Aaron Rodgers is still on the table, but yeah, I don't know. The Steelers thing is a little weird because it feels like they've kind of spent everywhere, but they just don't have a quarterback plan.
Yeah,
at all. So, but who knows? Maybe they trade up in the draft.
Maybe. I guess that's possible, but they haven't. I don't know. But I don't think they necessarily will have to, because they could also just be like, hey, kind of like what I was saying the Colts should have done, where it's like draft a quarterback like in the 2nd round or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like you could get Russell Wilson for like a year, draft a quarterback who's, a 2nd, 3rd round, and just be like, hey, watch Russ. He might be a goober, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I can see that. Oh, hey, what's up, Bryce?
Oh, hey.
Just a heads up, we are live. All right. Cool.
I thought you guys were trying to be really producer Bryson were kicking me out of the
No,
You're like, Bryce is always late on Saturdays, so
we figured you had probably kid stuff, and when we went live, you'd get a notification and be like, "Hey, yeah, we're just talking NFL free agency."
Now, but the funny thing is, shifting to the north, you know who did really, really well? We didn't talk about, and that's on us.
Who's that?
The Bears did surprisingly really good in free agency.
I mean, they seem to
They
have,
got the line.
yeah, I was
got
like,
the line
they
help,
fixed their offensive line, which
and that's what
that's
they needed to do.
the most important thing, probably.
Yep.
Though they don't have a receiver, if I'm not mistaken, because Keenan Allen is a free agent still.
True.
So yeah, they got the line, which is great, but I am a little worried in their lack of skill position guys.
You know what? I don't think I'm necessarily worried, only because it seems like their now head coach, who was the Lions OC,
Mm-hmm.
I think can kind of make them, if that makes sense.
I see what you're saying. Like, he can basically just like kind of make things work with what they have. Because yeah, I mean, Detroit's been doing that, making things work. And obviously, they've drafted a lot of talented guys, but
And +2, I could be wrong.
Chicago.
I could be wrong in this. So they have the 10th pick, and they probably could just draft a wide receiver.
I mean, that would make sense. Yeah. Draft.
Right? Hypothetically.
They could. I guess who would be that guy though? Because Travis Hunter's the no.
That's
like,
what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm sort of like
McMillan from Arizona
maybe
is the second wide receiver in this mock draft being taken. Golden from Texas, who
Golden could be good.
didn't he run like a 4.2 something 40,
He was
like a
fast.
stupid fast one?
He was fast.
So that would make sense. I don't know.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna see. We're gonna do this. So. I mean, honestly, I would probably do that, but
yeah, they probably do end up taking a receiver.
that's what I would think, right? It's like you could take Matthew, like you could probably take Matthew Golden or McMillan, but I would say Matthew Golden would be the
guy, the pick there.
better one, because that's what, like you said, you need skill. I mean, I guess they could always just sign somebody.
Yeah, and it's not like there's not guys available. Like obviously Keenan Allen is still out there, so they could just bring him back. Who else is available? Where's that website? Is it CBS? There was one website that had all of the breakdowns really well. Spot Track. That's what it was.
I would assume
wide receiver.
What does CBS have him at?
You still have
They have him taking an outside tackle, but I would assume that's probably not the case.
right.
I think they're more than likely to just take a skill position guy.
Take a skill position, and then I mean, looking at who's still available, you still have Stephon Diggs, you got Cooper, you got Brandon Cooks, you got Tyler Lockett. There's still plenty of dudes available for them to pick up for 1 year rentals or whatever. So,
I mean, hell, if they wanted to get spicy, they could take Genty.
that would be really spicy.
Although apparently CBS has him going 6, which is bold.
It is, yeah.
The whole thing is, hilariously, I wouldn't hate the pick.
Though if you're the Raiders, there's so much crap you need. Why take a running back? At least
Because you're probably more in a win now position with Geno.
Oh yeah, I guess they did get Geno, huh?
It's kind of like you said, like, oh, you could draft a Tyler Lockett, and Tyler Lockett could be serviceable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
What about the fall of Cooper Kupp, it feels like?
I know.
You told me a couple of years ago that he'd hit free agency and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Rams would just be like, "Yeah, you can go," and
replace him with Devontae Adams.
Well, yeah, and that then he'd be in the free agent market and just sitting there like somebody just want me.
He's a Seahawk. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Or yeah, but like the fact that he wasn't picked up by like
he wasn't traded for. Like
he wasn't traded for.
Yeah.
And like wasn't his contract.
No, it was pretty bad. Like we were talking about that, where it's almost like they said, "Hey, if you want him, we'll take whatever you want." I have a feeling they just weren't getting back what they wanted, or they figured, like CJ was saying, like, "Why are we going to trade for him if we can get him for free?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I guess I missed yesterday's news, but
yeah,
but also 3 years 45, like for like what he was a couple years ago. I would not have said 3 years 45.
Well, yeah, that's
I know receivers aren't paid
back.
like. I know they're not paid like amazingly, but like I would have thought at least another, $5-10 million for what he was a couple years ago. Obviously, not now,
right?
But what he was a couple years ago. Like I understand why we're here.
Yeah,
it's just we're if you told me a couple years ago the guy who could be relied on to just get all these amazing catches and yardage and everything.
Can I say a hot take? I think Cooper Kupp was good for a year and then fell off a cliff, and people don't want to admit that he fell off the cliff.
He's been injured. That's part of it. Is that a
bull? Yeah, that's the thing. Is why if you're this is the. And I was telling CJ this.
I mean, it depends what you want me to admit here.
No, but my whole thing
in terms of what he provides for a team.
Here's my question. Here's my question.
In terms of like his ceiling, I don't know if he's fallen off.
Here's my question, BYU boy. Do you want Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp? Because you're only going to get one.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Puka.
That's what it's going to come down to. No, that's what it comes down to. Why would you, if they ascend? Why would you want? This is the question. This is just the NFL. The NFL has this problem. Is they found the guy that can do it just as good, if not better, a lot cheaper. Because they have another 3 years before they have to pay. They have to pay Puka. They're only paying Devontae, I think, 2 years?
Mm-hmm. Something like that. Though your hot take, I don't hate it because you're right. He had that 1,900-yard season with 16 touchdowns. Outside of that, he has 1,000. He has a single 1,000-yard season. The rest of them are in that 700, 800 yard range, and not because of him playing poorly. It's injuries. He misses. He pretty much every year misses a solid 5 to 7 games. Outside of those 2 years over 1,000 yards. So, I see what you're saying. Not from a talent or ability standpoint, but from an availability being hurt standpoint.
Because remember, we were talking about we had this conversation last week about Debo. How it's Debo had one good year, and we sort of held on to that one good year.
Right.
It was the same way with Cooper Kupp. And mind you, I'm stuck. If I had regular TV, I watch Cooper Kupp a fucking lot. And let me tell you, he's
a monster.
It's not like this. He doesn't have it necessarily, but it's just they were using him less and less, almost like they were afraid that he would get hurt.
Yeah.
At least that's what I thought. And plus, like I said, you got a guy who's cheaper in Puka, who I would say is arguably better because he's a better route runner.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're that far off. Yeah.
Mind you, I'm not a Rams fan.
Yeah.
I am. And then no, look, I wasn't when they dropped him, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
But I think I will also say this. I think they would have kept Kupp if they had a chance to actually get rid of Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
If someone wanted, because I think because the whole thing is just a money issue.
Honestly, that whole Stafford thing, it's more like, I feel like at this point they're more like, well, okay, we'll run it back another year because we were able to get Stafford to come back at a discounted rate.
But two, they also think. I wonder if they just sort of like, when are you going to retire?
I honestly think going into the offseason, the Rams went in with like let's just retool over the next like year and a half. Like,
I mean, they kind of
I think they were. Well, no,
They
but
are,
I think
yeah.
they were. I think they were fully gonna punt the season, and now they're more like, okay, if we put some pieces together, maybe we'll make another little playoff run and still try to be piecing things together as we go along.
Here's what's funny.
But I think that's why they like weren't gonna pay Stafford market rate, was because they were like,
well, here's what's funny.
Well, we don't want to pay him market rate and be decent enough maybe to get in the playoffs, but then what do we do once we're there?
Here's the thing, and dare I say this, I might be wrong. In that division, in the AFC West, in terms of quarterbacks now...
You mean NFC West?
NFC West. He's probably the number one, not maybe number two quarterback, depending on how you...
he's the number one by far, right?
Who did Seattle pick up again? Was that Darnold?
Sam Darnold.
In that division,
Kyler Murray.
Right now, Darnold...
And
I'm honestly not as high on Darnold.
I'm not either.
Because
I literally said when he signed
Metcalf being gone, like the reason he had such like I think he'll be decent. I think he'll be better than I think he'll be slightly better than we expected him to be a couple years ago. Like a couple years ago, we were all still kind of like, not really on him. Mm-hmm. But now I think I think he'll be serviceable. But I think honestly last year, I think he was elevated by what the Vikings have, which is an extraordinary, like, amazing amount of talent at wide receiver and tight end and like everything. And then that was even without. I will give him credit. He didn't have Hawkinson for a good part of the year. Yeah. And so, like, deal with that was pretty good. But, like, you still had Justin Jefferson. You still had, who's the other guy from USC that got
Addison.
There? Addison.
Yeah.
I said the other guy because, Darnold was a USC guy, so it was like...
here's the funny thing, is if you're the Rams and you sort of were kind of like, hey, let's try to get rid of him, and then you see how everything played out around you. The Cardinals didn't do jack diddly shit. The Seahawks got worse. The Niners possibly got worse, and you're kind of like...
Honestly, what's funny to me is I thought the Cardinals were basically going to get rid of, what's his face, the quarterback?
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray. I thought, then they still might. I thought, but I thought, honestly, they were going to get rid of him quickly, and then sign, like, a Zach Wilson and just say, like, hey, we're waiting one more year for, like, to really... bring in a lot of young talent. We're just gonna put you in right here for a year as a placeholder, and that, like, that's what I thought was gonna happen. Mm-hmm. And then they just were like, "Nah, not sure yet." And then Zach Wilson's like, "All right, I'm gonna go over to Injury McGee over here and hope that he has another injury." Basically, like. Anyways, so I don't know. Like, so because I honestly, like, I kept going, like, the more, like, the teams that some people were saying Zach Wilson might sign with, the more, like, they kept picking up other talent. I was like, well, I kind of am expecting him to go to the Cardinals, and then he just kind of landed in Miami. So,
right.
That was funny.
Which I will say, another funny thing about this that you guys probably don't think about is the backup quarterback for Miami currently was Tyler Huntley, who used to play for Utah.
That's right, he was a Ute.
And they faced off against each other, and so it's just kind of funny to think that now they're competing in the same quarterback room, but we're probably going to hear by season's end how they're like, yeah, we love each other, we're always, giving each other feedback and blah, 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 because, like, that's how every quarterback room feels, like, even if they actually hate each other, they're always like, I love for,
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, like, at this point, if they hate each other for that reason, that's just stupid. Like, as a professional,
I mean, it is work.
I hate each other. It's like they'll be competing for the same spot, which is
and they're
both wanting to back up Tua because they can get some playing time if he goes down again. Which I mean, let's face it, is a high probability.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Yeah, but do you think Huntley is even on the roster? I think he gets cut in training camp. There's no way, right? Like.
he gets cut and he'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that
I think there's a good chance because he's what, like $1 million a year or something, and they just put
Right.
Zach Wilson on a $6 million. I was honestly, I want to know I want to know how Zach Wilson's agent is able to do so well.
You want to know
Because
why?
The fact that he was able to go to Miami and be like, look, you guys need a backup.
well, that's pretty
can
standard
tell you-
backup
you're gonna
quarterback
put
money
Zach
I can
though.
literally-
Right.
Say, I can tell you the answer. I can answer that question really easy because they know he's competent. The amount of this is something I heard Diana Rossini talk about is when they were talking about like Joe Flacco last year.
Mhm.
She made the comment. She's like, you don't understand when it comes to like these backup quarterbacks that they don't really exist. There's maybe one or two that are good,
Yeah.
and then it's trash. So it's like if you can find one that's serviceable, like you're gonna pay a premium for it.
And-
So Zach Wilson, despite him being Zach Wilson, they're like he's competent.
And not only that, but especially the Dolphins, they know they're going to use the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Like it's
Is
one
this
thing
why-
if it's the Chiefs
You
where they're
gotta-
like, yeah,
there's
he's not
also-
playing.
And on
But-
top of it too, there's probably two competent backup quarterbacks: Jameis Winston, who arguably should be a starter somewhere,
Yeah.
and Zach Wilson. Like
Yeah.
it's those two, and that's it.
I mean,
Well,
there's a
they-
couple others that are good enough. Tyrod Taylor's usually good enough. Jacoby Brissett's good
Yeah.
enough. You know, Gardner Minshew's usually okay as like a backup. He shouldn't start, but he's
But my point is, it's like when you're in that position, like the number of guys where it's like, oh, we can win this game if he comes in.
yeah.
There's like you can count
Well,
on. one.
He can keep the ship
honestly, it's interesting because the reports from like the media and from the coaches in Denver
hmm
were all very high on Zach Wilson. It was
Oh yeah.
from beginning of year to end of year was like huge difference, and so it's like that could be something to watch out for if like Tua goes down and Zach comes in and is like, because that's actually not a bad receiving core in Miami.
No, it's really good.
Yeah.
like
And then they've got a superb running game. Because
yeah.
like it felt like there was a game like a couple years ago where they had like 4 or 5 guys break like 50 yards. I can't remember.
Well, yeah,
I
there was
remember
2
there
years
was,
ago they were going through running backs like, they were,
But like each one of their running backs was coming in and just running like decently.
yeah,
Yeah.
they had a good
Oh,
scheme for
Shanahan.
sure.
I think that's called what we call the Shanahan offense.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
but
I mean,
yeah, so, I mean,
McDaniel
it'll
was
be
under
interesting
Kyle
to see.
in Washington, I think, so that would make sense.
It'll
Oh,
be
but-
interesting to see what they do here and yeah, no, but like this free agency period's been weird, I feel like.
I mean, there's been a lot more movement than I think we're used to. Like usually there's movement, but not to like it feels like there's been more than normal. Like
Okay.
in terms of big receivers moving, a lot of like bigger defensive players and offensive linemen.
You got to remember too, there's not a whole lot on this draft.
That's true. Everything I've heard is it's kind of a weaker-ish draft. So
I wonder if that's doing it, except for like the skill spots where they're probably a little bit more likely to. They're a little bit more willing to.
As I say, right now the big debate is Shador versus
Cam
who's
Ward.
the other guy?
Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Cam
I've
Ward.
also heard Jackson Dart is getting some looks.
Oh, 100%. I think from what I've heard, it's basically like Cam Ward kind of, as far as quarterbacks go, undisputed number 1 quarterback. And then a little bit of a gap, Shador, and then a little bit of a gap, and
Is
then
that
Jackson
Yu-Gi-Oh?
Dart. So,
Master Duel? Or just regular?
I'm watching the hit series The King of Games.
nice. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Like
Sick.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Survivor.
Oh, I thought I muted myself.
You were not muted.
Sorry.
Also, I heard it's not Yu-Gi-Oh! I honestly have my Epic
So,
Games
I have-
launcher just
so,
up
okay,
in
hold
front of
on.
it,
So,
and
I
I
have-
just hear that, and I'm like,
No,
are we
hold
talking
on.
like what's on the background on the table there for
No,
CJ?
no,
Like,
My roommate's desk is right next to mine, so if out of the his screen reflects off of this computer case. So if I look at this monitor, I see it. So I saw Yu-Gi-Oh, like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck list, and I'm like, wait, is he still playing Master Duel? So I was very confused as to what I'm seeing. I'm like, wait, that's not Magic, that's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Hell yeah.
But I
that's
should also
not
segue
magic.
that I should also segue the way our desks are set up, we could legitimately settle our problems with the children's card game.
Hey, that's pretty sick, though. Like old school, no sleeve, riffle shuffle, dude.
Good.
So I've been trying to teach my wife how to play Magic. So that
Hell yeah.
I should.
then when we have an argument, we could just settle
segue. I was telling CJ,
Magic.
I got a bunch of commanders that I'm making with.
Hell yeah. Yeah, dude, Magic is sick. It's a great way to settle arguments. Like I taught my wife to play about a year ago, and now every time we have date night, we play a game or two of Magic.
Play Magic.
I got some of the Jumpstart boosters. We do some of those. Play some Commander. Just switch it up. It's fun. All right. Is there anything else NFL related we want to talk about? I think the Cooper Cup thing was probably the biggest thing we hadn't talked about yet.
Yeah. I think we can shift to college basketball, and Bryce can talk about how BYU's now in the tournament.
Yeah, I was so sad. Colorado almost played Houston pretty well. We almost went on the Cinderella run of the conference tournament.
Been fun to watch if you guys had won the conference tourney and found yourself in the what's it called
in the NCAA tournament, which we don't deserve. Yeah,
and it would be, and you just get blown out in the first round, and it's like
1,000%. Yeah, well, that's the thing is we were 1 in I think 13 in conference play. And then we beat West Virginia and someone else to actually play Houston. I think we were the first team in, I don't remember what history it was. Maybe it was just the Big 12 history to win 1 or less games in conference play and then actually win 2 in the conference tournament.
Hey, you want to hear something funny? I mean, it's not necessarily funny. It's funny to me. GCU is probably going to go to the tournament
Grand Canyon, let's go, dude.
I mean, hold on. Utah Valley.
They play Utah Valley.
Utah Valley might be able to beat them tonight.
That's why I said they could.
Yeah, Utah Valley, I think it might be favored to beat them tonight, too. It's hard to tell.
Same record.
I don't think anybody's really sitting there on the whack. Yeah, but Utah Valley's been really good this year, and Utah Valley's been good in years past in terms of building up there. I mean, I say they're a school that's that's right up the road from where I live. I don't pay a ton of attention to them, except for Grand Canyon's favored by 4.5. So
I just love it when Grand Canyon goes because I know a lot of people who went to GCU, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know what do you want me to say.
I really want UVU to win, though. It would be fun for me.
It's sort of now with there's a school, Cal Baptist, they have one of the best prospects for baseball, and it's they don't deserve him.
Wait, Colorado State won the Mountain West? Hell yeah! Let's go.
They beat a college.
You were a CU fan, though. I thought it was go Buffs, not go.
It is go Buffs by default, but also the Buffs suck, so I default to whoever's left in the state of Colorado.
Well, at least you have a team in the tournament to at least have a rooting interest on, right?
Yeah, I was sad because Northern Colorado lost to Montana in the Big Sky Championship, so because they were I think they finished first in the conference, so at least we have one, Colorado State, and we'll lose in the second round, so it's no big deal.
Are we doing we're doing a bracket, a podcast bracket? I assume.
Yeah, we should do a bracket.
Tomorrow was,
tomorrow Sunday.
Tomorrow's Selection Sunday, yeah.
Correct.
So Wednesday.
There'll be there's a couple early championship games, and then selection committee sits down and goes, all right, these are the teams that are automatically in.
Yep.
And then they just start going through.
But if I recall correctly, the play-in, it just says play-in, on the bracket, it just says play-in winner.
Yeah, you don't choose the play-in. You say
because because a buddy of mine's a giant USC homer, and the year USC played VCU, because he's a homer, picked that winner to go pretty damn far, and VCU went on that
VCU.
Run. And it was VCU, but he kept winning because it didn't specify.
That's so awesome.
Everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's so good!" It's no, he's a homer who got lucky.
That's amazing.
I will probably, even in our bracket, put BYU at least in the Sweet 16, and then they'll lose in the round of 32. So.
Oh yeah, we figured you would do that. I'm honestly surprised you're stopping at Sweet 16.
I will say what I said last year with an extra bit of
You're gonna pick them Final Four. We know it.
No. Well, maybe. I haven't decided. I have to look at my bracket, but
yeah.
But the thing with BYU, I think the way they're built this year, it's similar to what I told, and this is what I told Specs last year, was it honestly wouldn't be surprising to me if they went on like an Elite 8 or Final 4 run, but it also wouldn't be surprising to me if they got outed in the first round again, just because they just lack just a little bit up front with their their front court. With their forwards and their centers. They just don't have any size down there. And so that's why Houston was able to just kind of bully them. That's honestly why Houston and Colorado had a closer matchup, was because Colorado sizes up a little bit better.
Right. They just suck.
I want to try the pineapple.
Houston. So.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
mean,
muted
no
again.
problem,
Specs.
See, huh?
Specs, you're not muted again.
yeah.
God damn it! I keep hitting the button. I give up.
I don't think the button works.
Anyways, no, it's just funny.
Fuck
But,
hello.
wow, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, yeah. That's really funny.
It does not work.
just hit your mute button on Discord.
On Discord, yeah.
There you go.
There we go, that one works.
Like, if nothing else, I'll mute you.
Right. Well, it's funny because, I mean, right now, Bracketology has BYU 5th seed against either Xavier or Indiana, and that 5-12 is always like the one where we see the most upsets, so that kind of makes sense.
BYU, I think, was 5 last year, 5 or 6, I can't remember.
Or they,
Maybe there
yeah,
was
I don't
7, but
remember.
I feel like it was, let's see, 2024 bracket. March Madness.
It seems
I
like
don't remember. It's been a while. So much has happened to BYU since then, so it's just funny.
I mean, it feels like they're always in that 5 seed, like every year.
Actually, it's only been the past couple years, and it's been weird that they.
BYU was a 6 seed last year, and they lost to Ducks.
Giving me the 2025 bracket in the 2024.
Yeah,
I'm trying to look up the 2024. Let's see.
Yeah, BYU was a 6 seed last year.
Yeah, BYU is 6. Yeah,
Lost to
6 versus Duquesne. And
Duquesne,
it's funny because a lot of those will say 5, but the rule that BYU has learned over the years is it says 5, but we can't hear you.
Button works.
Oh, it works now. Got it. That's funny.
It was user error.
I might have hit it twice.
Oh, it was definitely user
error, dude.
But no, it was funny because but yeah, I said last year I wasn't gonna be surprised if but I will say this year's team does have a bit more size and they have more guys that can like bolster the middle a bit, and so I expect them to. I honestly think this year's team is the Sweet 16 team, and then they'll get bounced. Like they'll get to the Sweet 16, and then they'll hit a brick wall for whoever is meeting them in the Sweet 16.
Right.
Unless there's some sort of upset where the matchup ends up being better for them, I fully expect them to get to the Sweet 16 and then just look like they don't belong in the Sweet 16. But next year, the interesting thing is that's the whole thing for me. Is I'm sitting there just waiting for next year because you got AJ DeBonsa coming. You've also got his current teammate, but he was playing in Nevada for a little while. I think he's over in Vegas. His name's Xavier Staten. So I'm looking more forward. Like I'm sitting here, like, yeah, this year's great, but like I'm more like hoping that as long as we keep the talent we have now and can mix it with those two coming in, it could be a huge, like, BYU team next year sort of thing. But
right,
because he's a 7-footer, and he's like one of the best defensive prospects. Xavier Staten.
Go Duke. That's all I gotta say. Go Duke.
Go what? Go Duke. What are you saying? That's
gross.
I followed Duke since I was in 5th grade.
Choices of teams.
That is not a random choice.
No, okay, sorry. He likes to have backup teams that are like really good, so he could be like,
I've literally followed Duke.
Look, I'm a USC fan, but
wait,
my backup is Duke.
Oh wait, no, hold on.
So hold on. Explain how you are a Duke fan.
How am I? So when I was in elementary school, my elementary school theme was colleges.
Okay.
So in 5th grade and 6th grade, we had to follow Duke, and then I was Duke, and then in 6th grade, my teacher was a huge basketball fan, so we followed Duke in in the tournament that year. So that's why I root for the Mavericks and I root for Duke, because I had to follow him when I was like 10.
Gotcha. Okay, so that is acceptable because it's not a case where you're just like, oh yeah, Duke's the best team, so I'm gonna pick them. Like
No, it's
because that's
literally
what
since I was like
it's
been since I was like
my
10.
complaint mostly arises from anytime Spects' teams start losing. He's like, I don't know if I'm a fan of this team anymore. I'm gonna just start rooting for another team.
I mean, having a backup isn't bad. I support that. Like
No. He straight up talked about like the chat in our group chat. He talks about abandoning the Colts, who he's rooted for his entire life, for the for some other NFL team.
I literally
He
had
talked about any like when Artie came back to the Angels. He was like decided he wasn't gonna sell. He was like, I might root for the Dodgers or something, or no, the Braves.
To be fair, the owners of his teams have been terrible. So I understand where he's coming from.
Why am I? See, this is the one thing people don't understand is why would I constantly root for something that brings me nothing but misery?
Yeah, so I get it. I understand.
Yeah, but I don't know. For me, part of being a fan is like
I'm gonna keep it a buck 10.
I put myself through.
Here's my thing.
I put myself through like
I'm gonna keep it a buck 10.
6 years of misery with the Lakers. Like absolute misery.
It's the Lakers though. No. The Lakers don't count in any of this.
Here's my thing. I'm gonna keep it a buck 10 with you.
So a lot of teams suck for 6 years, and then you win championships every decade. So like the Lakers don't count, the Celtics don't count, the Dodgers don't count. Like
Angels, my Angels stand-up has never wavered.
Angels count.
And this is the thing. I talked to my buddy Tim, who is a Giants fan. I literally said, this motherfucker will probably win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years, because that's what the Giants always do.
Yeah.
So it's like I've said for years, I go, any of my teams, the Angels, the Angels and Colts, who've been shit for over a decade, I literally said, I could trade anything to I would at least get close to a title every decade. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
Like not even close. Like not even. I will, if I had to trade away the 2 3-peats I've had in my lifetime with the Lakers for one more World Series and one more Super Bowl, I do it. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Right, and I mean that makes sense, and that's why, like, for me as a Broncos fan, it feels kind of good because we don't win as much, but we are like competitive pretty much every decade. This last 10 years has been rough, but outside of that, like, they've been good.
Like I didn't even want.
Whereas the Rockies,
the Rockies have promise. I do think the Rockies have promise.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Yeah, but it's just like that's my whole thing. It's like I'm not picking. Like I don't pick backup teams where it's like, oh, they won, I'm rooting for them. No, it's because I basically had to follow them since I was 10.
Right. And it's the same reason for my backup teams. I used to live in the DC area. So, like, it's the Orioles, it's the football team. I don't care about the Wizards, but, yeah. So I get it. All right. Any more NCAA tournament stuff we want to talk about? Cooper Flag apparently is playing. Duke put out a press release that he is playing.
He used to play the tournament. They still won the tournament.
He pulled a Paul Pierce.
I mean, he looks like he rolled his ankle pretty good.
Cooper Flag shit himself? What?
Yeah, I was like, he didn't shit himself.
Well, no, but I'm saying like
Paul Pierce shit himself.
He got carted off in a wheelchair.
Okay, true.
Like, the next day, he's like, I'm playing basketball. And
time out. Hold on. I'm gonna say, as someone who has rolled their ankle pretty bad a couple times, in the moment, and especially like when they don't know how bad it is, it's mainly a precaution to keep.
I know. I'm mostly talking the look of it all, like being carted off in a wheelchair.
No offense, no one as bad as Paul Pierce, who looked like he tore his ACL. Cooper Flag was just sort of sitting there, just like, crap.
Speaking of ankle, Jamal Murray just hurt his really bad. I am sad.
Yeah, but sorry.
I'm really glad you used that.
I will agree. The Paul Pierce one's way worse.
Yeah, that one's hilarious.
I'm okay with Cooper Flag. I still have ill will towards Paul Pierce over the years, and not because they beat us in a way, but because of that particular scene of he's in agony. Yeah,
and
then
gets carried
20 minutes later. Dunk! Oh, I'm all over the place, and it's like, dude, get out of here. Get out of here!
You just needed new pants, dude.
He literally just went out went out to the locker room and was like, "All right, give me like just a little bit to make it look believable, and then I'm gonna go back out there, and it's gonna give us so much energy." And it's like, God, that's no,
Pooped himself.
no.
Paul Pierce is wild though. Like
He-
I remember
he had a
when he won the championship then, and it was like the next year. I think at the ESPYs the next year he won the like player of the year or whatever.
mm-hmm.
And he like got up and gave a speech and was like, "I am the best NBA player of all time," and like acted like, and I was like, "You weren't even the best player in that series.
In
Kobe
Kobe's
was still better than you in
in
2008."
Kobe's house.
Like, it was just like, I don't know. I just remember that I was like, "You weren't even the best player in the finals that you won. Like, don't like." The only thing that ever made me more mad was I think it was the closeout game for the Angels in 2002.
These motherfuckers.
And I remember the commentators like as the like it was like the game the Angels could like either team could win. I think the Angels had a lead at that point in the game. Like at a certain point in the game they had a lead. And like it was just kind of like, well, hopefully, you know, like for the Giants, it was like they were like, well, we'll just hope that we get enough runs to come back and win it. And but the Angels had a lead, and the commentators were saying something to the effect of, well, so in this case, do we even if the Giants lose, do we give Barry Bonds World Series MVP? And I was like, no, like he hasn't been that like he was good that series, but he wasn't that good to the point where you're like, give it to the loser. Like, no, give it to Glosser. I think Gloss won in 2002 with the 2002 World Series MVP. Spects would know better than I would.
With the Angels.
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah,
I was just remembering. I was just remembering the yeah. I just remember the commentators saying like should we give Bonds MVP even if the Giants end up losing this game?
They always say that, and it's one of those things where it's like it never happens.
No, I know, but I just remember that was one of the most like ticked off I've ever been as a sports fan. Is like
I get
me and my parents sat there and were like, no. He was like
Now I gotta look at
Gloss's
the stats.
performance was really good, and so was Bonds. Like both of them were great that series.
But the steroids, dude.
Wait,
You
what
should
were
give
his
the
stats in that
steroids.
World Series?
I don't think we knew
MVP.
about the roids in 2002.
I think they were very heavily.
I think
God
I think it was kind
suspected.
of like
They were
I think it was-
suspected.
What do you call it? It was the worst kept secret.
Yeah, is.
Where we were all like looking at Bonds like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
he looks way.
Well, and that's the
different
thing
than
is
he
like
used
he
to.
went from like being this scrawny dude stealing bases every year,
and
and then
he's still a decent power hitter, but like he
yeah,
went
but
from
not to that
looking
level.
like yeah, he was looking pretty like I compare him in his early career to looking kind of like Sean Figgins,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit more beefed up than.
I just want to point something out.
Yeah, the Sean figures make sense. Yeah.
If Barry Bonds played in today's game, he wouldn't change a thing. They'd love him because he'd be a perennial 30-30 guy.
Oh, he would 100%.
So
Okay.
hilariously, comparing.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't have gone for, and he wouldn't have had to go for. Or I shouldn't say had to.
Also-
But he wouldn't have decided to go for the what's it called? Using the roids to get the home run record.
So okay, sorry, I have to throw his stats out for that World Series.
I was gonna say he
He
batted
hit
471
471 and had a 700 on base percentage.
with 13
He should win
walks,
MVP even if he
7
loses.
of them. Yeah, the guy.
That's-
The guy was fucking insane.
That's insane.
That man hit a home run basically every World Series game. Like,
Yeah, 4 homers and 6 RBIs
compared to
in
Troy
7
Glass.
games.
Mind you, Troy Glass hit 385, so it's not like he's
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good
necessarily,
too, I guess.
Like, wasn't playing well, but Barry Bonds, like, people don't realize Barry Bonds, when like that
471
era
and
Barry
set-
was in. Here's the wild thing about Barry Bonds.
Mhm.
I think later on, because the fucker got walks. I don't know, I'm cussing so much, but the guy walked so much
Yeah.
that like if you didn't like at a certain point, like in 02, for instance, the guy had
Isn't he
156 hits and 476 play appearances, and 46 of them were home runs. And how many walks did he had? Glad you asked. He almost had 200 walks.
Jesus.
The man had more walks than hits.
No, and that's why I wish Bonds hadn't done.
And somehow didn't win the Triple Crown.
We would then be able to discuss him as
a baseball player.
the greatest, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, if not.
I mean, the whole thing is, as I've gotten older, I just say screw it, put him in the Hall of Fame. The man was unreal. I don't like steroids or not. Screw it.
Oh yeah, he is the intentional. He is the all-time leader in intentional walks.
I'm
Not
just
that
like,
that's a
screw it. The guy-
surprise.
I have conflicting opinions on that. I'm not as hardline against it anymore, but
I'm not anymore strictly because I hate the boomers who will keep them out because of it. Because I think because any Hall of Fame, especially baseballs, my whole thing is it's a museum. It's not an accomplishment. It's a museum and a dedication to your greatest players. Baseball's biggest black eye they have to deal with is their hits king's not in there, their strikeout king's not in there, and their home run king's not in there.
That is kind of crazy, though.
And no one's questioning that because they're saying, well, one got kicked off for gambling, two were steroid users. Like, I don't give a shit who they were off the field. This is an on-the-field thing. We shouldn't, and it's the same thing with Curt Schilling's. I don't care what Curt Schilling's politics are. I don't care that he's a MAGA guy. He voted for Trump twice and roots for Trump and says stupid shit on Twitter. I don't care. That's his right. What did he do on the field? He was an amazing player. Put him in. Keep your grandstanding keeping out because they don't follow something you like. I will fight for that in any sport.
Yeah,
I think it's the dumbest thing these writers constantly do is they gatekeep and say, I'm not putting somebody in because this is about me.
Yeah, honestly, like if it's such an issue, like throw them in there and just throw a little asterisk. Say, hey, there was.
You just put on the plaque. Yeah, all you have to say is like, hey, this guy was a gambler. This guy was tied to steroids. That's all you have to do.
Or like take the year that they were like guilty of whatever. Like
he wasn't guilty.
Like a good point. Well, no,
that's the whole thing.
It's suspected. It's not even like proven.
In terms of both of them, he never admitted to it. Roger Clemens never admitted. The only one who admitted to it was Mark McGwire.
Yeah,
Mark McGwire admitted to it. Barry Bonds is like, I never failed a test. He was never on any list. I don't even think he was on that.
The one that A-Rod was on?
Wasn't there that one guy that brought that basically admitted to giving him steroids?
I think one person did, but it didn't go anywhere. Because he wasn't on that.
It's clear he did.
It is.
He never got caught.
He never got caught. And to be fair, I think Peyton Manning was also on one of those lists.
And then,
it
was the Mitchell. So in terms So Barry Bonds was listed in the Mitchell report. Peter McGowan in an interview said, and why that's worded weirdly, in an interview during a phone conversation, he once asked Barry Bonds to take steroids. Bonds responded that he took a substance for sleeping problems and arthritis. McGowan said Bonds claims he did not try to hide his use of substances from the rest of his team. The Giambies did. Beyonce Santiago did. Sheffield did. Because a lot of the guys named in that, really were no one. It's a lot of like no-name guys. The two biggest names are Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds.
So yeah, I'm on board for throwing them in.
Because like a lot of the guys you're seeing, it's guys who are like injured.
Right. And
you're seeing a lot of like Todd Huntley, who was a backup catcher for the Rockies, took testosterone. And they're like, and he was found, like, a lot of the stuff they're doing is like, it's one guy saying he sold it to this guy who sold it to them for 3 or 4 occasions and stuff. And he was in a book. And it's like, well, he never failed a test, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Like Chuck Knobloch, another kind of like, there's not a lot of like big name guys who did anything. Because it's a lot of them are like, oh, I took it for other reasons. It wasn't for anything. Like Angel pitcher Brandon Donnelly was on there. Like Eric Gandhi's on there. It's like none of this matters because it didn't really. You're not seeing these like Hall of Fame guys. There's no Hall of Fame guys on here. It's just like it's almost like speculation where it's like, oh, these guys are in somebody's book, but we don't really know where, you know?
And I mean, that's how a lot of those are, right? Like, I just looked at the Peyton Manning one. It was because a delivery of HGH went to his house, but it wasn't prescribed to him. Like, so it's like,
yeah, that's a lot of it because
it's
the whole thing is the one thing people, and I think it's gotten better.
Yeah,
is like a lot of people where it's like, oh, they had HGH for something else, and it's like, you know, it's like, well, why did you use it? Well, I was under my doctor did it. Like,
right. Like it is a valid medication.
Like Keel has it.
like,
like, there's a lot of this stuff where I'm like, and mind you, this is back in like the early 2010s where it was sort of like a witch hunt.
Oh, it 100%
I think now,
was, yeah.
Where it's like now considering like you'll hear guys like in baseball, and I think in the NFL.
For me, in that discussion though, you can never convince me to sit there and go, well, Bonds was never convicted, so you shouldn't like associate it with steroids. I'm to associate it with steroids because he did steroids. You cannot tell me
guilty
that his head
grew
5 sizes because of working out. That's not.
He probably did. We cannot say he did.
Hey man, we live in America. You know what that means? Innocent until proven guilty.
I'm not a criminal court, so I don't have to presume.
You're in a public forum speaking.
I don't have to presume his innocence.
You're a journalist.
On here? On a podcast? No, not.
No, we're just a bunch of idiots talking, honestly.
I'm not a journalist. I work as a technical support. Yes, if I was a reporter, yeah, I wouldn't sit here and say Bonds did steroids.
Wait,
I'm not a news reporter.
I was a reporter. Should I not be saying? Wait, I'm not saying anything. What am I talking about?
Hey, you're the one sitting here being like, no, Bonds didn't do steroids.
I also don't. I've reached the point in my 30s where I don't care.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest thing. Is like I could care less.
Yeah.
Considering we're seeing guys get get suspensions for like ADD medication, I think we got bigger problems at this point.
Well, yeah, like I mean, my issue, like I will always be a Josh Gordon defender. He got screwed by the NFL because he had a beer on an airplane, and I'm still mad about it.
Hey,
like,
Jamarcus Russell got caught with cough syrup.
Wait, who did?
Jamarcus Russell.
He had a lot of other issues.
And I'll say this: while I say this about Bonds, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not. If people decide they wanted to let him in, cool, I'd be fine with that. But the one I'm more. I don't want to say concerned about, but the one that would be that if you were to ask me to fight for one of the two, I would be so much more in Pete Rose's corner than I would be in Barry Bonds.
Agreed. He bet on himself, not against himself. He was not throwing games.
Real gambler right there.
He was a real gambler. He was a gamer, like, by the definition.
And I will say this: he was convicted.
We're gonna lose to the
maybe
Wizards.
Not convicted, but you know, he was.
Wait, what?
Like
fucking lost to the Wizards,
was,
dude. The Nuggets lost to the Wizards. They just scored. They scored 8 points in the final 60 seconds, and we lost to the fucking Wizards.
You barely beat.
God, I hate this team.
Yeah,
man, you guys have hit rock bottom.
I hate this. I hate the Nuggets. They play down their competition, and it drives me up a fucking wall. I hate it. I hate it so much.
This is and I will say this. This was
the Timberwolves in the playoffs again.
The past couple of years have been the reason I was glad BYU's in the Big 12 now in a big boy league because BYU used to do the same thing and it pissed me off.
Jordan Poole hit a 40-foot three-pointer to win.
Back in the day, BYU was in the West Coast.
He's still playing,
and they should have beaten teams like Pacific all the time, but
yeah.
Instead they would play down to them, and it's like it always pisses me off when any of my sports teams are like super talented but not able to beat like these little teams. And you're just like, dude, like if I'll say this: there were years there where the Angels were super good and they would lose to like these terrible teams. And I go, well, but it's baseball. Like every once in a while, you're gonna, you know,
baseball's fine.
Have bad series, you know, it's a long season sort of thing. But like, I don't know.
I mean,
I will say
the Nuggets
the
have.
NCAA tournament. It's the same thing for any team that like gets bounced pretty early on, even if they're a good team. I'm like, that doesn't mean this year's team was bad. It's just it's like one game and you're done. Oh, hey, that's it.
The thing that just makes me mad is we have literally the best player in the world, and we lose to the Wizards at home, and then we all barely beat a Lakers team where half of them were in the hospital at home the night before, and it makes me so mad. Like, we should not lose these games.
Bronny making shot over the second Tatus.
Yeah, that was his only made basket last night. He was garbage.
He is.
I think
he doesn't belong. I mean,
he does not
honestly
belong
don't feel like he belongs in the NBA. And if LeBron heard that, he'd hate me. But
probably he attacked Stephen A. Smith.
I don't like LeBron either, and he's on my team.
Yeah,
so
his son is not NBA material yet. Maybe one day, but not yet. He is a G League player right now.
I was gonna say, you know what I'm gonna say?
I think that's 100% fair.
I think he has the tools. I think there's something where he just might need seasoning.
That's the thing. Like, he should have stayed in college another year or two, and he would be fine. Like, and that's the thing is, like, he's a professional athlete. It's fair to criticize him. Like, Stephen A. was shitting on LeBron for his parenting and stuff, which is a little weird. Like, but it's totally fair to say Bronny is not an NBA player right now.
I will say the person who took flack that I didn't think deserved it, even though I'm not like a big person in his corner either, is Doug Doug Gottlieb. Was that who? Or no.
Are you talking the college guy that said Bronny is not
the guy
NBA
who's a
player?
coach as well? He's like a coach and a radio host. Is it Gottlieb or?
I think Gottlieb did end up becoming a coach.
Doug Gottlieb.
Yeah, but like his whole thing was just Bronny's not an NBA talent, and then LeBron came out and was like, "Well, you're not a great college coach," and it's like.
That's true. He does suck. He's 4-28 this year.
Why is LeBron getting so down in the trenches for his son who just needs to prove himself? Like,
I think it's your
LeBron
kid.
doesn't sit here.
That's the thing. It's his son, so he's gonna be
early in my career.
It's his son. I think that's the problem. Is it's one of those things where it's like, I can take it. Don't be. Don't.
I get it, and I get it. But he needs to grow. He needs to grow some thick skin if he's gonna force his son into the NBA. Because that's what he did. He manipulated teams into drafting his son, and the Lakers were the one that were like, well, you know what, we've got a decent enough team.
Okay, I stand by this. I said this the night, like, when they were talking about it. It's a second round pick. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. It's gonna be trash. It's trash regardless.
Yeah.
And if any, like, I guess it's just my whole thing is it's like I don't care.
I mean, Jokic was a second round pick.
It's Jokic and Draymond Green are like the only two good ones. Like, everyone else at best is like
He's an undrafted.
He's fine. Yeah, like there's you can get some starters, but like those are the ones who like Hall of Famers.
But like my whole
Ben Wallace,
point is,
maybe
sins of the father dictate sins of the son. Like LeBron was drafted 18 at number 1 because he was a talent. Like
he was insane.
There, like no one's. I don't think anyone was necessarily expecting Bronny to come in and be like, I'm going to score 25 and 3 or something like.
Right. Well, the problem is though he got coverage like he would because of who his dad is. Like,
yeah, but the whole thing is that's not his. My point is that's not his fault.
Oh, it's just not his fault. No, 100%.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the flack. A lot of the flack that Bronny gets, and it's
you really shouldn't get any.
I don't agree with a lot of the flack that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift get because they just started dating and everybody was like
just existing.
Oh! And it's like it's not Travis Kelce's fault or Taylor Swift's fault.
No, it's not.
For Fox and everybody coming in and being like,
but the whole thing is, we know who the complaints are from, and it's not the majority of people. It's one sector of people who complain.
No, and it's the ones who go to it's the ones who are similar to the Knicks fans who go to the NBA draft and boo the Knicks no matter who they draft, sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's just a time on
Tingus Pingus, dude. It's my favorite video.
But anyways,
who the fuck is Tingus Pingus?
It is a class.
It's so good. All right.
That's the most delightful giggle I've ever heard from Spects, by the way.
Dude, it's the best video of a draft reaction. Is the what's his name? Rappaport? Is that guy? Yeah. It's so funny.
I do think the funniest thing I've ever heard about the Knicks was Stephen A. Smith after a few months after Phil Jackson was coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and he just goes, his first move as team president was to sign Lamar Odom, who was on crack.
I mean, to be fair.
I mean, he did end up drafting Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah,
It
Tingus
was just
Pingus,
the whole
dude.
thing of him just going, who was on crack?
Yeah. But, alright. Do we have anything else? We're an hour in.
Lamar Odom.
I'm good.
Who was
I
on
was
crack?
only here for what, like 40 minutes of that. So
No, you showed up like after 5 minutes. Like you were here pretty much the entire time. So, alright. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll do some March Madness brackets and stuff. So, peace, dudes.